Most people assume that when a crow caws from a rooftop or calls out from a nearby tree, it's just making noise. But what if that crow is actually talking about someone? And what if the person being discussed is you? Because one of the strangest discoveries about crow intelligence isn't that they recognize human faces. It's that they can share what they know with other crows. Information, warnings, opinions, even memories. Which raises a fascinating question. If a crow notices something unusual about a human, how many other crows eventually find out? And the answer is far stranger than most people realize. Think back to the last time a crow seemed unusually interested in you. Maybe it watched you while you walked through a park. Maybe it followed you from tree to tree. Maybe it stared for a little longer than felt normal. Most people dismiss moments like these. After all, it's just a bird. But crows don't move through the world the way most birds do. They pay attention, constant attention, not just to food, not just to danger, but to patterns, especially human patterns. Who appears regularly? Who feeds animals? Who causes problems? Who can be trusted? And who cannot? What's interesting is that a crow rarely experiences these things alone. Because crows live in highly social communities. Their lives are filled with observation and communication, which means that information doesn't necessarily stay with one crow for very long. And that's where things start getting strange. Researchers studying crow behavior noticed something unusual. When a crow learned that a particular person was dangerous, other crows often reacted as if they had received the same information. Even crows that had never directly encountered that person. Think about that for a moment. Imagine meeting someone you've never seen before. Yet somehow you already know exactly how to feel about them because somebody warned you. Humans do this constantly. But seeing similar behavior in wild crows surprised many researchers. Because it suggested that information was spreading through the group. Not randomly, not accidentally, but socially. Which leads to a bigger question. What exactly are they sharing? And how much detail can another crow actually learn? Imagine a crow spots a human behaving aggressively. Maybe someone chases birds away, throws objects, disturbs nests, or repeatedly creates danger. The crow doesn't simply experience that moment and forget it. Instead, the event may become part of a larger social memory. A memory that can influence how other crows respond in the future. And what's remarkable is how quickly those responses can appear. People have reported being watched, scolded, or avoided by multiple crows after a negative interaction with only one. At first glance, it seems impossible. How would the others know? Yet again and again, observations suggest information is somehow moving through the network. A network that exists entirely above our heads, mostly unnoticed. But here's where things become even more interesting. The information isn't always negative. Because crows appear capable of remembering positive experiences too. People who regularly leave food in the same location often notice something curious. At first, only one or two crows arrive. Then several. Then many. As if news has spread. Almost like recommendations. As though one crow discovered a reliable human and quietly informed the rest. Of course, nobody knows exactly what individual crow calls mean. Scientists are still working to understand the complexity of their communication. But their behavior reveals something important. The group often acts as though information has been exchanged. And that behavior can continue long after the original encounter. Now think about your own neighborhood. There are probably crows you've seen dozens of times without realizing it. The same birds, the same routes, the same trees, watching the same people every day. You may barely notice them, but from the crow's perspective, you're part of the landscape, a moving pattern, a predictable character in their environment. They know when people leave for work, when parks become busy, when food appears, when threats emerge. Their survival depends on noticing details most animals ignore. And perhaps that's one reason crows are so successful. They don't simply react. They learn. Then they share. But there's another mystery that researchers continue to explore, and it's one of the most surprising parts of crow intelligence. Young crows can sometimes respond to humans they never personally experienced. Think about how unusual that is. Information appears capable of surviving beyond a single encounter, potentially beyond a single generation. In other words, a crow may learn something about a human without witnessing the original event. The implications are astonishing, because now we're no longer talking about individual memory. We're talking about social memory, a community memory, knowledge that outlives the moment it was created. And suddenly, crow intelligence starts looking very different from what most people imagine. What's fascinating is that humans often underestimate animals by asking the wrong question. People ask whether crows are intelligent, but perhaps the better question is this: how much information can a crow society store? Because intelligence isn't only about solving puzzles. It's also about sharing knowledge, preserving experience, passing lessons to others, creating a network that becomes smarter over time. And when viewed that way, crow communities begin to resemble something surprisingly familiar. Not a collection of isolated birds, but a social system, one built on observation, memory, communication, and trust, which brings us to something many people experience without realizing it. A crow notices you, then another crow notices you, then another, and before long, it feels as though multiple birds are reacting in similar ways. Maybe it's coincidence. Sometimes it is. But sometimes there may be something more happening. A chain of information moving quietly through the group. A conversation taking place in a language we still don't fully understand. One that scientists continue trying to decode. And despite decades of study, many questions remain unanswered. Exactly how much information is transferred? How detailed can those messages become? What subtle signals are crows using that humans never notice? The truth is, we still don't know. And that mystery may be the most fascinating part of all. Because every time a crow lands nearby and studies the people around it, there's a chance something important is happening. Not something dramatic, not something obvious, but something intelligent. An act of observation, a judgment, a decision, a piece of information being gathered, and perhaps shared. The crow isn't simply looking at a human. It's evaluating one, recording patterns, comparing experiences, adding another piece to a much larger picture. A picture built by countless observations across countless days. So the next time a crow watches you from a fence, a rooftop, or a nearby branch, consider the possibility that you're seeing only one side of the story. Because somewhere beyond that single bird exists an entire social world. A world connected by memory, by communication, and by information moving from one crow to another. A world where humans may be observed far more carefully than they realize. And where your face, your habits, and your actions might become part of a conversation you'll never hear, but one the crows remember.